What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? Merry Christmas Eve. I got another episode coming out this evening for my podcast. I hope to actually be able to get this one up the day I actually film the thing. So that's what I'm going to be working on this evening. Now, a very interesting story came out this past week. You guys may, of course, be familiar with sort of the whole woke movement that has been taking place in this country for the past, I'd say, 7 years at this point. I mean, it really sort of hit its peak. Well, it's only starting to peak now, and I think it's going to continue to do so. But I think it really started to hit full swing as soon as Trump came in office. Then everything just went completely crazy. It was cancel culture, this, that. Now, I'm not saying I'm a big Trump defender, but I don't know. It's kind of funny how as soon as he steps into office, then all this happens. Just an observation. But anyway, back to my original point. There was an interesting story. Stanford College has gone so woke that they're actually banning like basic human language. It's very strange. So, and like none of these are like there's only like a couple of these that are actually offensive. These other words you wouldn't even think about using. In fact, it's so normal you wouldn't think about not using them. Okay. Let's see the Stanford list of words that you're not allowed to say this anymore. This is the thing. You can't say this anymore, and if you do, it means that you're an evil, terrible person. I remember I counted these up the other day. I think there's about 161 of them, and basically all of them are bullshit. And I'll also give you the reason behind why it's being banned, and that's quite outrageous as well. Okay, so you're not allowed to say addict anymore. You can't say a person is like addicted. So instead, you have to say person with substance use disorder. Yes, that makes sense. You can't just call it the word addict, a two-syllable word that makes it a lot easier than saying instead of saying, oh yeah, he's kind of a drug addict or he's kind of a coke addict or whatever the hell addict it is. No, he's that person with a substance oh god, I can't tell. Person with a substance use disorder. In fact, it's so funny. This goes back to that George Carlin segment that I watched, where it was bad language, and he was specifically talking about, like, for example, the word shell shock. It sounds exactly what it means, right? You're shell shocked when you come out of war, and then it became like operational exhaustion, something that may happen to your car, and then it just extended to like more and more words. You guys should check that segment out. It's it's pretty comical, but it's true. That's what's great about Carlin. He said a lot of true things in a very hilarious fashion. He's like, oh, it goes on to 8 words now, but hey, we added a hyphen, so that makes it cool. Let's keep going. This is only the first word. You can't say addict. You can't say it. Using first-person language helps. Do not define people by just one of their characteristics. Died by suicide. You can't say committed suicide anymore. You have to say died by suicide, which I guess makes it seem as if you were killed via suicide, like somebody killed you with suicide, which would no longer mean it's suicide anymore. I guess that means language that trivializes the experience of people living with mental health conditions. Well, no, it's just it's a thing. Oh god, you can't say crazy anymore. You have to say surprising or wild. Yes, that's the appropriate word. The Manson family, they weren't crazy people, okay? They were surprising. They were wild. They were stoned. They were on STD. Not STD, fucking what's that drug called? What's that? What were they on? It was fucking, oh god, I can't even think of what it is. It was it was LSD. It wasn't STD. Anyway, Manson family. Guys, these people, they weren't crazy. They were misunderstood. They were just surprising and wild. When visited Sharon Tate's house on Cielo Drive in August of 1969, it was a surprise. It was a surprise. They weren't trying to murder her. They were misunderstood. They weren't crazy. It's a surprising, wild thing. Who cares if they stabbed to death a pregnant woman? What's the big deal? And put their fingers in a pool of blood and wrote pigs. Guys, they're not crazy. They're just surprising and they're wild. That's a great description to use of them. Lame. You can't say lame anymore. Boring or uncool. I mean, Who cares? This is another word for it. You can't say paraplegic. You can't say quadriplegic. What else can't you? Obviously, you can't say retarded. That's a legit one. Oh, you can't say handicapped. You have to say, again, we're extending the words. You have to say person with disability. You can't say insane either. You have to say surprising or wild. Again, you can't call the Manson family insane. You can't call Hitler insane. You can't call the person that escapes from a mental ward mentally ill or insane. You have to call them surprising or wild. That is definitely the appropriate word to use. A lot of this is just language that trivializes the experience of people living with blah 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 blah. Sanity check, confidence check, coherence check, fact check. None of those that generalizes it though. I mean, none of those could have to do with sanity. How does sanity and confidence mean the same thing? I mean, a person. You can't say senile anymore. Nope, you can't do that. Brave! You can't use the word brave anymore. You have to use the word. Oh, just don't use it at all, actually. This term perpetuates the stereotype of the noble, quote, noble, courageous savage, equating the indigenous male as being less than a man. Okay, well, I think the word brave was used well before indigenous people were using it. This one's funny. You can't use Pocahontas anymore unless it's their actual name. What if this one? I feel like this one is directed at Trump because he called Elizabeth Warren Pocahontas, which obviously is supposed to be. I mean, it's probably his best nickname for anybody, and it's supposed to be a joke considering that Elizabeth Warren is a woman who pretends to be like part Native American or something, which she's not, right? So it's a joke. It's funny. I mean, it's not like he's calling an actual indigenous person that. You can't say chairman or chairwoman. You have to say chairperson. I'm not gonna lie, that sounds weird. Fireman, firefighter, lumps a group of people using masculine language. Oh god. Freshman. You can't use the word freshman anymore. You have to say frosh or first year student. Okay. Who actually cares about these things though, honestly? Like, think to yourself, have you ever thought, like, taken any of these words besides a select few and thought to yourself, oh, well, I mean, that's kind of offensive because of this reason. Like, for example, mankind is on here. You can't use that anymore. That's out of bounds. You can't say you guys. You have to say folks, people, everyone, even though women use you guys as well. I mean, it's just, you can't say abort. You have to say cancel, end. Okay, what if it's actual, so you cancel or you end the baby in the womb. That makes sense. You can't say American anymore. You have to say U.S. citizen. This term often refers to people from the United States only, thereby insinuating that the U.S. is the most important country in the Americas, which is actually made up of 40... Well, I mean, that's what people refer to it as, though. I mean, people don't say... I mean, what am I supposed to narrow down every single one? And no, it doesn't. You can't say Hispanic anymore. Latinx use country of origin. No Hispanic person or Latin person uses Latinx. They don't, all right? That's just not a thing. That it's made up by a bunch of Karens. Oh, and Karen's on here. You can't say that either. Because that lumps in together a bunch of middle-aged white women who complain about everything. Probably this list. Or actually, sorry, made up this list and just complain about everything. That's what they... Okay. You can't say straight. You have to say heterosexual. I swear, George Carlin is spinning in his urn right now. Victim, person who has experience, person who has been impacted by... That sounds like the definition of victim. Oh, there's more. Oh, fuck me. Should I just... You can't say gangbusters, very successful. You can't say cakewalk. You can't say master. Historically, masters enslaved people didn't consider them human and didn't allow them to express free will, so this term would generally be avoided. Okay, but what if you're taught, like, somebody's a master in something? Like, they're, like, a Jedi master, or, like, the master bedroom. Like, are those off limits now? Are we going to cancel Star Wars? Well, actually, people have already tried to cancel it, so there's another one. You can't say immigrant, person who has emigrated, non-citizen. again, pretty much like 95% of these are just like words that people want to contort, like they want to explain why it's offensive for some ridiculous reason, and they just add words onto it. It's like they're basically taking a word and then they actually want you to say the definition now instead of what it means. You can't say prostitute. Well, I mean, person who engages in just say hooker. I mean, they mean the same thing. Can't say hillbilly, even though that's not offensive. All right, that's pretty much it. So, guys, here's the thing, all right? You can't use any of these words anymore, all right? And if you use these words, this means that you are a horrible, horrible person, all right? Because after all, it's Stanford University. These are the brightest and best among us. They know way better than we do. They do. You just deal with it, guys. Just deal with it. You can't say this anymore. Can't do it. All jokes aside, is this really where we're going with this? Are we really so soft that we have to ban words that nobody actually finds offensive other than the 4 words in there that were actually offensive? I mean, it doesn't make it. I don't know why I can't see how this is okay. I can't see why this is necessary that we're just not supposed to say any of these words anymore. I mean, because every single other human uses this word, doesn't find anything wrong with it, and doesn't find it offensive, and uses these words. I mean, I have used most of those words. It's one thing to be socially conscious about a certain issue, which I think is great. It's another thing to completely lose your rocker on everything, every little thing that bothers you, and contort it in a way to where it's outrageous and ridiculous. Like that's wokeness. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I hope you all have a great Christmas Eve. I hope to be able to upload this tonight, but I'm not sure. So I wish you all Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, whatever you celebrate, and I'll see you later.